All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome. It's time to start today's webinar. My name is Christine. I'm not sure if anyone made it to yesterday's webinar, but as we've been talking about, there are some changes coming out in late tonight, early to morning's release. And so we're going to be talking to you about some of those enhancements in today's webinar. Again, that release will be going out very late tonight, so you can expect to see these changes around 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, September 27th. And just before we get started, I'd like to introduce you all to Sean Klein here. As some of you may know, you may have worked with him before. Sean is a senior implementations consultant here. He has over 25 years of knowledge and experience in the hospitality industry. If you've been lucky enough to work with him, then you know that he knows our products like the back of his hand, which is why I'm really excited to have him here with us today. So that is my general spiel of what's going to be happening today. Sean, do you mind taking over?
Happily, Christine, and welcome to everybody. It's good to have you with us. Wanted to kind of walk through a couple of the big changes that are going here, and I think all of you have seen us put out our release notes to go as things go live. This is really kind of a bigger change and some different things, so we wanted to give you some opportunities to show and advance some different things of what's happening and going from there. And the other side to know is that we are doing some of these AR changes in 2 phases. Now, these 2 phases are not going to be far behind. We're looking that the next phase is really going to be in our next release, which should be 3-4 weeks out going from there. So we have broken these items into 2 phases and going that way. In this first phase that's set to release tonight, we are going to do all these items that are sitting here in phase 1 column. So we are going to allow you to actually allocate payments. So instead of just putting in a payment now and saying, hey, it's paid and going that way, we will enable you to allocate out a payment and say, this check from somebody is going to these 3 invoices. As well, you can do partial payments to an invoice and leave some things that way. We are as well going to allow you to unallocate payments. So if you made that mistake and said, oh, crud, I didn't want to allocate that payment to that particular bill, you have that availability as well. We've also in this redesigned the AR screen to allow you to better manage invoices and payments. We've broken it out into 4 different tabs that we'll show for you. One that's going to be your current balance tab, anything that's really outstanding. One that's going to be a paid bills tab, and one that's going to be an unallocated tab. So anytime you have payments that are unallocated, you can see what payments are not allocated out. And then the last one will be a look at the individual payments of what's allocated and where it's allocated to it there. And while this doesn't have a huge impact for everybody that's on the phone today that's already on the system, for those of you that may have sister or hotels in your brand and maybe bringing other things on, we are doing the ability to add open balances with the ability to put in aging for them. So we can set it up now and say when was an invoice there so that you can start and have proper aging at the time. And not to cover these in any great detail, but things that are going to come in that second phase in, like I said, 3-4 weeks is going to be the ability to directly adjust invoice postings in AR. So that if you have something and say, for instance, you have a bill that is $350 and you need to adjust it and you need to adjust up the $45 to only make it $305, if my math was correct there, you'll be able to do that. We'll be able to post charges and add additional items to an invoice. We'll be able to post charges to an account, creating a new AR invoice directly, moving an invoice from one account to another. So, every once in a while, we've all had those opportunities where whether someone in finance has done it or if the front desk has attached the wrong person and we've got a bill in company A and it should be on company D, we'll be able to move those things through, as well as adding some notes and extra posting references. And then more permissions that deal with AR of who can do what different things that way, and some refunds. So with that, I am going to go into directly into the fund system and take a look at this, but I am going to go directly into our AR, and the AR in this particular fund instance happens to have British pounds, so don't worry about that. And there are a few overlapping things just because this was an early test environment. So I'm going to go to my fabulous company that I created, and I have in here a variety of all of my good things. I have my AR transactions. And so, as I mentioned, we've broken this out into our different tabs. So first off, I'm going to show that I have this balance tab. And the balance tab is going to be still very similar to what you saw before, that we've got a name, we've got an invoice number, We have a confirmation number. We have the dates of stay information that way, as well as we have the current amount there. As I said, this was our test development and going from there, so this has a few overlaps. So in this case, we do still have the availability to see our double golden chevrons, which expand out and let you see the information of how this charge was created and what's the what's the items that go in there. So we have all of those fun things in there. As well, we have the manual balance. So this was a manual balance I put in here, and you can see I put in a date that this is back from January 1st of 2017, and it's got an amount going from there. So we can do all those same things. We then have paid bills, and paid bills are going to show something that's going to what's been paid off, and because it's paid, it is showing on the far right-hand side that it is a zero balance because it has been paid. As well, we have unallocated amounts. So I have a cash payment here that was £200 that needs to be allocated, and we'll deal with that as well. And then lastly, I do have allocated payments. Here was a payment that came in of what was done as well as where it was allocated out to. And using those lovely chevron arrows, I can expand it out and say, hey, this 428 went back to Akshay Raj's account going here, and that's going to match up to the same bill that I saw previously of things this way. So that's the first portion that goes to it and goes that way. On our balances and things that way, if you're looking at the balance, we can still search by anything. If I want to see something that I'm only looking for the Jones bills, I can do that. And statements are still going to go through and will print off based on what is currently showing. So a statement at this point in time is going to show the information on Damon. In this example, if I was on my paid bills, it would show me the information on my paid bills, and those have really still remained the same. So that's my breakout of items that go through there. As we first said, we have the ability to allocate payments to a specific invoice. So I have a 2,132 pound balance that's open. I have this cash payment. I can simply come in on a payment that was already made and allocate it out. And when I allocate it, if I come to say that I need to allocate it against this bill, it's going to allow me to set how much I'm paying to it. And so I'm allocating £200 to it, will leave a remaining balance of 228. And that's going to update in my accounts. In my balance, you'll see that it's changed, that I now have £228 that have been the remaining. It does have the green wallet here that shows that we already have a partial payment against it and going that way. At the same time, if I make an additional payment, I can still come in and make my payments in the same fashion that we've done before. If I do a cash payment for, I can add my things quickly enough. We'll just make it for a £700 there. I'll say that I need to allocate directly after my payment and my posting, which will allow me to make those, and it's going to take me into the as we said, we have a few opportunities in my test system because it didn't get the latest updates on things. The unallocated, I can then go through and do the same process before that I want to allocate out what I need to allocate. I can leave a partial portion. I've allocated £656. It will leave me £44 unallocated. It's changed my balances of where things are going through. So it keeps all of my items there. And then the last thing that we talked about that we do have the ability to do, two things to go through. If we've allocated something out and we need to make a correction, I can come in here and I can expand this payment and I can unallocate the payment that went here. So I can come through and open a payment and move that back. It moves those charges back into my balance. It as well opens up and changes my unallocated amounts so I can use those things. So as we said, we can allocate a payment, we can do a partial payment allocation to different things, and we have that ability to see different things within items and still search for anything you want to, whether it's using a name, whether it's using the confirmation numbers, or looking at date ranges as well specifically. Now the last thing, as I mentioned, that we have is the ability to add open balances for a new property, or if you just need to make something as a non-revenue item. This is set as a non-revenue transaction right now. This will make an impact to your journal and your ledgers. but it will not impact and show as revenue. So it is, as of right this moment, completely used and set up to do transitions for a new hotel. So we can simply come in and say, yes, I need to add a manual balance, and I can say that I need to add in a bill for Christine Kears, and I can put an invoice number for it, as we said, so we can track it back if it's an old system, as well as the departure date. We'll say this was the 2nd of August, and the amount, 878.65 pounds, and I can add additional ones as well, and we'll just add another one in my name. Oops. And this was and once we save this, it's going to add these in, and it does have some pagination. You'll see different things where you kind of cleaned it up, but you can go to your next one and continue through and see the different items that we go from there. One thing, just so you're aware in setup for it, this is an item that goes through. It is 2 parts in settings for that if you want to use that, if you're going to use it for manual balances. The first portion is creating a charge code for the manual balance transfer. Can't remember the code I did. I'll find it in a second. In my accounts receivable, I can set what my manual charge code is. So I've got 5700. If I look at the charge code setup, we have, we clear it back out because it's not a usable one. I forget we do it, but you can add a new one. There's, like I said, if we add 8555, and put it in our whatever there, and there is a new charge code type here that is added from previous of the AR manual balance. So this is what we'll use. It does make changes to your journal, but it is not a revenue transaction that's going through. So kind of looking at that, if we look at our financials and I look at the journal, while it hasn't had an end of day process, we'll look at what was going through and what's going in today. You will see that we have the different items that went through our AR balance. We have the cash payments as well. We have the cash payment that was made, as well as we have these AR balance adds. These were added in. It is a manual transaction. It changes the ledger balances. It does not, though, make any change to revenue. So it is a net. There is no revenue change there. So that is the quick overview and going from there. I did want to talk for a moment about one other thing that we will do, is that this change will come out and it will go through tonight on the late night, starting at around 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It should be very minimal downtime going from there, as with most of ours. There is, though, an impact time for accounts receivable. And what will happen is that once we've done the transition, there are some big things that have to be changed in the actual tables for accounts receivable, marking things out as allocated and unallocated and how those things go through. So there are changes that will be happening as an after effect. We are going to be starting and doing, this is a process that we have to do hotel by hotel to make the changes to. So it will take a little bit of time to go through, and we will be starting with our European properties and moving ever westward as we continue through that. So if you are a finance person and you go in first thing tomorrow morning and it's 8 a.m., whatever time zone you are or anything that way, and you're looking at this, if you go into AR accounts, you may see this following message while we're doing this, that your AR is being updated. Please try again later. Of course, your system administrator may not actually have knowledge of it, but if you do see this, it is that we are still in that process of updating your hotel's AR transactions, so please be patient. We are going to go through them pretty quick. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes for each property to do the process, so we've got a bunch to go through, so we will be going from there. That is our overview of different things. I'm actually going to go back 2 slides and go from there. I'm going to, at this point in time, open up our microphones to everybody and allow you to ask any questions that you have. And so with that, I'm going to open the mics to everybody and feel free to ask your questions.
Hey, Sean, it's Ben.
Hey, Ben.
How you doing? When you unallocate a payment, can you unallocate partial, or does it have to be full?
It's going to be, it is going to be an unallocation of the full amount, but let's double check it because I think there's a couple, every once in a while they make a change on me that if I go in, yeah, right now it is going to unallocate the full amount. There's not a partial unallocation. But if you went through and unallocated, I could unallocate it. I then have my payment that comes in here. I can come in and allocate it to a different one and just do a partial allocation on that item or re-update that.
Okay.
What other fun questions does anyone have?
Yes, just one question, please. Yeah.
Yes.
What is the balance, and then what is this manual balance?
So the balance, this particular balance tab is the current current charges that are open and the current outstanding balance on this particular account. So this particular account owes the hotel 3169.65 pounds of going from there. The manual balance is the ability for a newer hotel, as we were first talking about, to do add-in aging. When we first set up the AR, we did not have a way to do a manual balance transfer. We would have to go into accounts and then send it over to AR, and nothing had an actual aging. This allows us to do something. If I use a different example, I could put in, like these two, I put in as a manual balance. We don't have any details on it because it was just an add-in from time of conversion. Most hotels are only going to use it when they first convert from one system to Rover. What will come in there, though, as we were first talking about, is the ability that that's coming in phase 2. The other one that it may change from manual balance, but the ability that you could go in and put a post directly into AR and say, I need to bill, XYZ company, and put in a posting there versus having it go through a reservation that got checked in and got checked out and sent to AR, or a group account that was sent to AR. But that ability that says, oh, I already did this, and that coming ability to say either, A, I need to change a particular item, and going from there, so that ability to post a charge to an account, creating a new AR invoice directly. So it'll be some of those tied in there. But for most hotels, the manual balance as it's being released tonight is not going to impact you. It will be impacting hotels that transition in the near future.
Okay. When you get to that phase 2 where you can post to account creating a new AR balance, will you be able to when you do the manual balance, will you be able to post different charge codes and stuff on that?
Yes.
Or is it just gonna? Okay.
Yep, we're gonna do it'll be very similar to posting to an account and sending it there, but it'll be the ability to just put it directly, have revenue items go directly, or adjustments. Same type of thing, the ability to make an adjustment on a bill if while it's not there today, if I go to the right screen, if I came in and I looked at this bill, what will be coming down the near future is we say, this bill has 428 pounds owed on it. I could come back in and say, I need to do a credit posting of 50 pounds plus the taxes in, things that way, and have it post those adjustments directly in here versus having to post it in the account, the actual stay card, and then send it back through.
Gotcha. And you can just go to one individual reservation or folio and do that, or does it have to be a separate transaction?
It'll be open to do either one, and we'll be doing some more sessions once that's there, just to walk through those changes, because those will also, just like this one, be some big changes. So we're going to do some upfront training sessions like this.
Okay.
Any other fun questions, anybody out there? Everyone's quiet today. So with that, then, I'm going to say thank you. Have a great afternoon. We will look forward to any of you that join in tomorrow or Friday.